Welcome to the review that drip blood. I'm your host, Jeffrey Woods, and today we have a special episode. I've had the pleasure of having a private screening of the upcoming horror comedy Massacre Academy, which was written and directed by Cantu and stars Jess Uhler, Sierra Mitchell, Rick Dutrow, Felissa Rose, and Dave Sheridan. Massacre Academy takes place in 1987, where we find the city of Orrstown struggling to recover, having suffered a series of brutal murders in and around the local university 2 years prior. The city and its residents find themselves in a strange limbo, simultaneously trying to move forward while keeping the memory fresh in order to profit from the notoriety the massacre has brought them. What they don't know, however, is that their nightmare isn't over yet. Terror strikes again with a new wave of murders, and everyone's left wondering if there's a copycat killer on the loose, or if the original killer has come back to Orrstown. So, what do I like about this movie? Massacre Academy does a great job walking that fine line between horror and comedy. It has some of the most hilarious moments, but the atmosphere is straight up horror. Everything is well shot, the practical special effects are incredible, I love the story, and they do an excellent job with the character development. I have to say, I was absolutely blown away with Jess Uhler's performance as Chris, a survivor of the original massacre ridden with survivor's guilt. This character is written and performed in such a way that you genuinely feel sympathy for her and find yourself rooting her on throughout the entire movie. Rick Dutrow does a great job in his role as John Hallenbeck, a police lieutenant with a nervous stomach who's haunted by the events of the original massacre. There's something about his performance that made me think he was channeling the great Shawn, which is a major compliment. Of course, I have to give credit to Dave Sheridan, who gives a genuinely menacing performance as Henry Lee Palmer. I'm always blown away with Sheridan's ability to not only drop into these different personas, but literally twist and morph his features in such a way that he's practically unrecognizable. Stephanie Swift gives a genuinely hilarious performance as Dr. Brady, a leading psychiatrist at the university who sort of resembles Velma from Scooby-Doo. And I would be remiss not to mention Shawn Phillips, who many of you will recognize as Cool Duder on YouTube. Shawn plays Kyle, a student at Orrstown University who, much like Chris, managed to survive the original massacre. Kyle provides a lot of the comedy relief throughout the film and has some of the most memorable lines. One thing that really stands out with this film is the various depictions of how people handle coping when they experience a traumatic event. There's no right way to react to something like this, so it's really refreshing to see nearly every character in Massacre Academy handling it differently. And finally, as I mentioned earlier, the film takes place in the late 1980s. It does a great job capturing that vibe. The aesthetic throughout the entire movie is fantastic. Massacre Academy is a wild ride from beginning to end. The characters are great, I found myself invested in the story, there's blood and mayhem galore, and it's just a beautifully shot film. It's a must-watch and definitely in my top 5 of the year, which is why I'm giving it 10 virgin eyes out of 10. If you enjoyed this review, please make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the review that drip blood.